as the big news came out last week that Magnus Carlsen will be competing in the World Cup, which is interesting, mainly because a reigning world champion has never officially competed in the cycle to determine the next challenger to the World Championship. That's not exactly Magnus's intentions to challenge himself, but as Peter Doggers reports, it doesn't mean that it's still not groundbreaking. The World Cup, one of my personal favorite tournaments to follow. So many exciting games, those matches, and so many interesting tiebreakers that we've had over the years with those. Just a ton of fun to follow. So the question to the fans, though, and as many people were commenting in the article, is not, are you more excited about Magnus Carlsen competing in the World Cup, or more excited that he's sharing his private life on social media? We'll weigh into that and see how people feel about the coverage of chess playing celebrities, right? Magnus might be the first ever chess playing celebrity who people care about what's going on in his love life, right? Who knows? But let you guys weigh in on the comments section here as we do what we always do to start the Chess Today show, which is not discussing Magnus Carlsen's personal life or his professional plans to play in the World Cup. That is to solve the daily puzzle. So without further ado, let's go do just that and get our daily puzzle on. Thanks everybody for being here. Been a few days since our last Chess Today show. A lot of news to cover. We're going to dive into some of the other topics as well that we missed last week, but I think the biggest one of all obviously being topics that concern Magnus Carlsen. All right, white to play, and immediately I see queen takes e7. Is there any reason why that would not be it? King to c8, there's no follow-up. Okay, that means the move must be queen takes b6 check. If king to c8, queen c7 is mate. If king to e8, we have rook takes e7 check. King moves to f8. And there's all kinds of interesting mates there, right? I mean, there's queen to d8, but if the king comes to g7, there's no mate follow-up. If rook e8, at least there, if the king goes to g7, h6 is mate, because our queen is on b6. If queen takes b6, king to e8, rook takes e7, king f8, queen h6 check is also possible, but he has queen to g7. And then, I mean, is the answer just that we give check and then win the queen? Possibly, but it makes me think there should be some sort of checkmate here, right? When you smell blood in the water, I don't know why I said it like that. When you smell blood in the water, often there's some food. So what's going on here? Queen takes b6, king e8, rook takes e7, king to f8. I had rook e8 check because on king g7, h6 is mate, but actually he can just take the rook and, you know, c'est la vie, right? That turns out not to be the best line. If queen d8 check, king up. There's also rook takes f7, king takes, queen e7 check, king to g8. It feels like we're this close to mate, right? But where are the goods? I'm going to challenge myself here and try to see it to the end before making my first move, rather than kind of leveraging my knowledge in the position to get a few moves deeper and see if I can see the position more clearly. Practice what I preach, which is that you should be able to make your decisions based on having an evaluation and having made a decision, not your inability to see past the fog, so to speak, right? If you're making your decisions or if you're stopping calculating because you can't see clearly anymore through the fog, you need to work on your calculation skills and improve that muscle and get to the point where you can be making decisions purely because you made a decision, right? Then at least if you've made a bad decision, you can learn from that on an X's and O's level, a strategical perspective, right? Not just like, oh, I miscalculated, right? The closer you can get in your games, this is just a general Danny tangent on advice for you, where you're making decisions based on an evaluation you made, a decision you made, right? Your chances of success, or at least improving and learning from mistakes made, are much higher, rather than like you blundered because you just couldn't see the position clearly anymore and you lost sight of it in your head, right? It's not the way you want to lose games. You want to get your visualization to the level where you can always calculate as deeply as you decided that you needed to in the given position. So practicing what I preach is sometimes harder than preaching it, and I'm struggling with this one. So let me go back to, oh, it's obviously a win. So look at that. I immediately dismissed queen takes e7 because after king to c8, I didn't see a way to follow up the mate. But obviously the mate is just queen e8 check takes and takes, and spent all this time trying to visualize queen takes b6. But you're lucky that I suck at chess, because if I didn't suck at chess, I wouldn't have gone on that whole tangent about how to improve your chess. So you're welcome for me not being the strongest chess player on the planet. All right, well, there we go. The daily puzzle has been solved. The Chess Today show is in full swing. So let's go back to discussing our topic, see what you guys are saying on Chess TV and Twitch. And let's go from there. So Yeah, everybody saw queen takes e7 and then queen e8. And so forgive that, but again, you got good advice about needing to make your decisions based on evaluating, not losing the position. Okay, so lots of bounce around. People are weighing in on this topic. We have people saying that they are more excited to see his private life. They feel like it's interesting, and he's a celebrity. Other people saying private life not interesting to me. Let's see. So. Diamond member, thanks for subscribing. Man Yoso says private life is really not a direction I want chess to go in, so he doesn't like the idea that chess media is diving into that direction. I tend to agree, honestly. There are some other topics, some other sort of controversial, let's say, Magnus personal life topics that I could have discussed today that I'm not. And in general, I have respect and the utmost appreciation for how difficult that is to, you want to engage and with your family on social media and do things that are important to you, but it's not really the world's business, right? I'm personally very private about my life on social media. I have Twitter accounts and a Facebook page, but neither me nor my wife really, I really try to avoid all that stuff. I don't know. So I personally feel like, social media and the windows it gives into people's lives are sometimes not the best, but, interesting. I think that a lot of people feel differently, and they really, obviously it wouldn't have had, how many retweets and shares, right? We live in the world of TMZ and gossip, and people feel like if it's been put on the web, you've made it public domain, right? This wouldn't have had 83 shares, 181 comments, and 6,500 likes if people didn't care, right? So, it's interesting. Diamond member FDSDFG says he watched Magnus's documentary on Netflix and didn't seem like he had a personal life. Well, maybe at the time he didn't, and now he kind of does, right? Let me see, but posting a picture really isn't much sharing. That's true. I mean, but it is interesting. We are better than International Master Danny Rensch. Yeah, I know people are going on and on about how I think when a lot of times when you start solving, I instantly go into like, how can I teach and make this instructive mode? And sometimes I feel like I lose sight of just executing on the puzzle. But, and Hack Lover says, and that concludes the Chess Today show for today. Very funny. Hack Lover says, I'm not interested in his private life. I see him in Simon Williams' dungeon every fortnight. Okay. Creepy, but okay. Anyway, so King Garav says, Danny, you're an idiot. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Let's jump over to Twitch and see what's going on over there. Twitch chatters, any comments on the thing? So how many of you are just excited to see Magnus Carlsen play in the World Cup? Well, keeping the topic on the chess. Tolerus says, Danny, do you have a map? Because I keep getting lost in your eyes. You know what? I do have a map. But it doesn't go to good places. Yes, everybody saw. Yes, I know. I was missing the mate in 3. I wasn't thinking clearly. Let it go. Danny's able to speak for 10 minutes about an obvious mate in 3. That's a skill in and of itself, right? Grueling stance on Twitter says I'm able to speak for 10 minutes on a mate in 3. I mean, I don't know. To me, that takes effort, right? That takes serious effort. Blah, blah, blah. What else is going on? What do you think about pushing blitz and bullets at chess to e-games content? That's what we're working on all the time. BJH3, thanks for being a sub, says I'm excited to see him play every time, right? So obviously we're excited to see Magnus Carlsen play. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Koval Super GM, I really like that because Magnus Carlsen, let's talk about that for a second. Magnus Carlsen has been pretty outspoken about wanting the format of the World Championship to get a facelift, to get a remodel, right? Not happy, not just, like many with kind of the organizational aspects going into it, but really just the kind of logistical nightmare that it is to even figure out. It's very hard to follow, and it seems like the players aren't always put in the most testing situation to get the qualification spot. Magnus knows that puts him at risk. He's been a big proponent of more of a knockout format for a world championship, more of a World Cup style event, right? These mini matches that are knockout events, and all the players are playing all the players. So it's nice to see Magnus put his money where his mouth is. I'll make a prediction early. I don't expect Magnus to win the World Cup. So there you go. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. I actually think that tournament, and I don't even think that's the odds. Now, if you gave me odds like I'm allowed to pick 3 players, right, who might win the World Cup, I might come up with 3. But it's like the Tiger Woods effect, right, when he was in the top of his game. Did you pick Tiger Woods or the field? When it comes to the World Cup is a super difficult format. I mean, if you get into tiebreakers, it becomes rapid and blitz where it's anybody's game. So the World Cup is the World Championship style format that Magnus Carlsen is an advocate of, knowing that that doesn't really favor the current title holder. The current title holder wants to get as much money as they can to just play a match, right? But not Magnus. Magnus has been very outspoken about wanting a more exciting format for the fans, and I really like that. I agree with him, and so it's cool to see him play mainly on that approach. Magnus Carlsen, throws his hat into the World Cup. I won't be surprised. He's the strongest player on the planet, but it's difficult to win that tournament. I'm not just going to pick Magnus Carlsen to win. I think that there's a lot of people with a chance to win the World Cup, as we've seen. So anyway, interesting stuff. Really excited to talk about that. So let's go back over to the chess and dive into some other stuff here. I've got a couple of daily chess games going. Not playing a lot of daily chess right now. I need to start some new tournaments. I blundered my queen in this one, so yeah. Along with missing a mate in 3, I blundered my queen. So there you go. I'm really on top of it today. Yeah, I just blundered my queen a few moves ago. I played this weird Al Johans line, which I should know as I claim to be the 3rd world champion in my past life. Alexander Al Johan. But I think I should have played queen e3, clearly. Instead, I played the move queen to g3, and after bishop h4, my only move is queen to e3, and then he plays bishop takes f2. Very sassy. This guy is all over it. I-pro checkmate king, right? I-pro, I don't know if that's broken English, I-pro checkmater, or it's like a play on Apple products. I don't know. Anyway, I-pro checkmate king. He's taking me down right now. But you know what? A queen is only a queen. And I've got 2 pieces here. And this isn't the most simple position yet. So the point is I'm just justifying, the lack of resignation. I want to move my knight. Let's analyze this. I'd like to play a move like knight d4. And if he plays queen f6, if I play rook f1, the problem is he has rook takes e3 check. So I think if he played queen f6, I'd have to play knight f3, which is not bad. And he actually still has no way to directly attack my king, right? And I'm actually threatening bishop g5 there, trapping his queen. So interesting. So rook e8, I don't really see another reason not to play knight d4. If he takes and I take and he gives check, and my computer is freezing for some reason. There we go. He takes, he gives check, and I move the king. There's no immediate way to win the rook. So knight d4 seems solid. If I get a few moves, I'll continue to activate. The point is I don't think this is like the easiest win of a queen ever. So I'm going to continue to play. Who knows? Maybe we'll have an epic comeback down a queen here on the Chess Today show this week as I continue to play that game. All right, this one is against my boy E-Dog, E-Dog99, who he and I are involved in yet another epic Chess 960 battle. Lots of fun. This is interesting. I have a number of moves here, including bishop f5. Doesn't that win the exchange? And am I not happy to do that? I guess maybe not. I mean, if I play bishop to f5, he can play rook takes f5, takes, and then knight f4. There's no combinations over here with rook e8 check. I'm up the exchange, and I would like to somehow guard the e-pawn, but a move like this wouldn't work because of knight d3 check. So I could play a move like queen to g1, an indirect defense of the pawn, right? Because if they capture, I have this move, winning the queen. So that's an idea. But what do I feel about this position? I'm up the exchange. I mean, I think white should be doing well here, honestly. I mean, this doesn't look like the easiest position for black to get compensation. So is there some other move he's playing on bishop f5? Maybe he's just taking here first. But okay, if he does that, among other things, I can actually take here, right? Go win the piece instead. And if he plays rook f2 check, back that thing up. Moves like queen to d2 are met by rook to e2, and everybody's fine. So E-Dog is probably watching this now, but I don't really see a lot of reasons not to play bishop f5. I think I'm better even if I don't. Like, I can play queen g1 anyway and guard the pawn in that same indirect fashion. But if he plays knight f4, and then I might go there. But this is a tough position for him. My knight on a5 is very dominant of the bishop. Obviously, my d-pawn is vulnerable, which means queen to g7 makes sense. But the last few moves where I started this plan of relocating my bishop to this diagonal, not just to kind of get the queen off, but also to try to prepare all my pieces working together toward this king. And I was just sort of surprised. Maybe he couldn't stop it. Could he have played king b8? Maybe he couldn't play king b8. Or maybe he could have, but didn't like his position anyway. It's possible. All right, well, without further ado, I kind of like... Let me go for this again. Takes, he goes here. What was the deal? Not rook e5, but queen to g1. Let's say he just plays rook f7. Let's analyze it out. He's going to get some compensation here, right? Kind of. Yes, no. Maybe not really devastating compensation, but some compensation. There's some interesting ideas like this. I don't know if it works, but let's look at it where I get this check. He can't move to d8 because I take here, so he runs. And then my thought was, do I have something here? And like takes here and queen to c8. The worry is he might have things like knight d3 check and, king c2. Or knight d3 check actually wins the queen, duh. So can't do that. But that idea of opening up the queen could be useful. Maybe f6 first, and then queen check. And if I force the queen trade, does that help me win in the endgame up the exchange? I guess he's still got some compensation there. It's honestly not so simple. Unless I'm missing some other sort of concrete win, I don't think this is like super simple. And the other thing I could do is sit on the position partly because he's not actually threatening to take this pawn. If he takes the pawn, I win the knight. What he is threatening to do is to play knight f4 because the knight was pinned and then take the pawn. So in the meantime, what is my plan, right? And this is an interesting, what's instructive is if you feel like you have an advantage, sometimes the danger, and I'm not saying I shouldn't go for a bishop f5, and maybe some of you are looking at this with an engine. If so, shame on you. But what's interesting about when you're better, when you're winning, and I'm sure everybody has this, if not, you're in denial, where like if you feel like you've been better for a few moves, then all of a sudden you're presented with what seems like a tactical opportunity, like your opponent has blundered, you sort of feel inside like you deserve it. Like you feel like the blunder, of course it works for me. I've been better. This is just the natural progression in my dominance of the game, right? So you sort of look at it from a perspective that you expect the combination to work because you've been winning. You've been outplaying somebody, you don't think they played the best moves, maybe earlier they made some mistakes, and generally the flow of the game tells you you kind of like your position. So then when your opponent blunders, you think, oh, I'm just going to execute on the blunder, and obviously that's the next natural step, right? So, but the problem is that sort of psychological bias can lead you to miscalculate. It can lead you to look at things with more confidence than you should be. Generally, the strongest chess players remain pessimistic at all times. Like, they don't always assume they're Mikhail Tal or they're about to be a genius, right? They tend to be very skeptical and calculate in an unbiased fashion. I've never been able to do that. I feel like I've always been a little bit too confident in my plans, and one of the last real muscles I really built as a chess player, I think, in becoming a stronger international master, is really being prophylactic in nature, like being a little more expecting the wheels to come off, being a little more defensive-minded and not missing my opponent's plans as much because I just assumed that my plan was good. And I think it's a tough muscle to build. Not all of us are naturally masochists, right? And so I think that, but seriously, strong chess players are jaded and they have a healthy pessimistic attitude, right? So I don't know that bishop f5 isn't the move, but I think it's good to be aware that just because I play bishop f5 doesn't mean this game is over at all. I still feel like I don't know that I have anything more clear than that. And I think if I want to defend the d pawn, I can always bring the knight back. So unless there was some way for me to execute more aggressively on the e-file, I think I need to take the chance to get the material. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, but I don't know that this is a clear game yet. And I think that, it's important to have that sort of mindset, be a little more unbiased. So there's my my next psychological, maybe my last practical lesson. Oh, wait, he already moved. Am I missing something? What's going on? Oh, duh. I pro checkmate, king. After I take it, he's going to play check. And then when I move, he has this check. Sneaky guy. That was pretty fast. This guy is either watching the show or he's just sitting there waiting, calculating for Danny to blunder. So that was less than ideal. What could I have done then instead of knight to d4? I should have moved my bishop to safety. Move the bishop here or here, or no, there. That's square. There. All right. Uncle Sasha is letting you down, my chestnut comrades. Sorry. Ay, ay, ay. This guy's just like instant chess here. I'm sure he's already moved queen h4, yeah. Filthy, rotten chess. I don't think I have anything better than this. This guy is just all over it. All over it. Playing conditional moves like a g6. Like a g6. As fast as a g6 jet. Ouchtown. Population me, bruh. Alright, let's make a move. Alright, finally, that comes to an end. Let's jump into the chat, see how you guys are doing. One last thing we do on the Chess Today show after we discuss our big news topics and do our chess, we like to preview what's coming up on Chess TV, but all of you already know, in 5 minutes, International Master Lawrence Trent, the strongest accent, and the best receding hairline in the game. My friend, International Master Lawrence Trent. As we get old, I think the fun is only going to get worse as we just continue to poke at each other as we get older. International Master Lawrence Trent is coming up in about 4 minutes, so don't go anywhere. That is the Blitz Brawls. He took my Bullet Brawls idea and did Blitz Brawls with it. He basically just copied me, and I said, okay, it's fine. You know, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, you know. Naka does not have a streaming schedule, mainly because Naka is a very busy guy. He will be streaming again soon. We're working with him on that, but he really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. I know a lot of you did as well. Hikaru Nakamura will be there soon. Daniel, can you please fix your hair? It really triggers me. I'm not sure what triggers you about it. If you're that obsessed with anybody else's hair, first of all, that might be a you problem. You know, just FYI. Secondly, I am going to get a haircut soon. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I don't know what direction. I let the wind blow. You know, I like my hair to kind of roll the way it needs to. Yeah, very good. Koval Super GM says, Lawrence Trent is the strongest player ever to be crushed with rook odds. That's awesome. Anyway, but all right. So Uncle Sasha apologizes to all of you chess.comrades for letting you down for my poor chess today. I talked for 10 minutes about a mate in 3, and I'm not doing very well in my daily chess games. But I did make 2,500 USCF. Remember that? So, hey, don't hold it against me. But thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning into the Chess Today show. Pretty active Twitch. Hope you guys will all stick around for the Blitz Brawls show with Lawrence. Let me go check on Chess TV. Everybody here is... am I playing with you guys today? Danny Springer wants to know. Not planning on it because Lawrence Trent will be playing with you. He's starting in just a few moments. What else do we have here? Uncle Sasha, can you ask Daddy Danny to play I Am Trent? We'll see. Maybe I have time to play a couple games with Trent, but I got some other things to get to as well. What is Lawrence saying? If Danny wants to challenge me, he is more than welcome. Trent always has an open door, that guy. He's just got a big heart. He's got a big heart, you know, and a great accent, that guy. If you want to send me a challenge, Golden Star 2660, we can play in daily chess. Magnus Carlsen wants us to play. And anyway, so I'm excited to see Magnus Carlsen play in the World Cup. You heard it here first. I don't intend to, I don't know that I pick Magnus to win that tournament. Like, he will be picked by most people, naturally. But, you know, it's a really strong event. I'm really excited to see what happens. And again, because it's really what Magnus has condoned as a World Championship cycle he'd like to see himself, I think it's pretty cool to see him jump in there. So, anyway, everybody, thanks for being here. Lawrence, I think they're ready for you. So I'm going to jump out without any further ado. Why keep them waiting? I've spoken on some of the lag issues. If any of you are on Reddit, I spoke. I'm pretty open and transparent about some of the difficulties we've had. I feel like I'm pretty open and transparent about everything. I'm sure you guys at sometimes wish I was a little less transparent. You know what I mean? Why don't you keep it to yourself, Dan? But, you know, first of all, so just our apologies. We thank you for that. The technical difficulties that were caused by our own fault. I explained everything that I could in the Reddit post. Somebody go check it out. But with that said, some of Hikaru's issues, yes, were his issues. He wasn't on the best connection, and we've learned he has an older PC that he thought was running at top notch with his engine analysis, and we're like, bro, you got to have a better PC if you're going to be a streamer. So some of those issues, like no defense aside, were actually Hikaru's PC and Hikaru's internet issues. And anyway, but people still really enjoyed watching him play. He still did pretty good given the scenario. And chess.com has worked hard. Actually, I think the lag issues are also already doing a lot better. If you go play some Blitz and Bullet on our site, I'm curious what you think. We've been working very hard on that, including myself doing QA every day back in the old school days of the company when I was, you know, testing all of our new features and when our company was much smaller. So we're working really hard to make everything as good as we can for you. We appreciate the feedback and the support. But I will say that in many ways, in some of those ways it was Hikaru, in some ways it was us, and I'll be curious how things continue to progress over time. So anyway, thanks everybody. Peace out. Please follow our channel. Give us a subscription on Twitch. Thanks for being here on chess.com. I'm going to be out right now and hand things off to my boy Lawrence. Good luck, Mr. Trent, and peace out.